My mom found out I was pregnant because my legs stopped working. Y'all already just told me I got cancer, and you mean to tell me you trying to force my hand on something I'm refusing? I'm telling you no, and you telling me there's no other option. My mother was in there praying up a storm. My bishop came up, first lady came up. They up there, they just walking through the room. Everybody praying and praying and praying because this is when it's starting to look grim. I was terrible, and I don't deserve, and I did not deserve. Not one of those times he saved me.
Welcome back to 10th Degree Faith. I am your host, Darius from Baltimore. Welcome back to the Testimony Table. This is the second episode, and you in for a good one. She's going to, her name is Keana. She'll introduce herself formally, but she's going to give you a testimony on how God moved in her life. And so get your tissues. I don't know what you got to do, but get comfortable and tune in. So introduce them and tell them who you are, and we could just start from there and give them like a little background of like, where you from and how you came up, how you was brought up.
My name's Keana. I'm from Baltimore. Of course, as you can hear in my beautiful accent. I was raised in a house of boys. I'm the only girl. All my brothers always had friends, their homeboys, and I was always the only girl. And I was raised a bit tough. Mom and dad still living, both active in my life. They not together as I grew up, but they both active in my life. Uh, yeah. Just I grew up a normal little rough. I was a rough around the edges kid, but I was a bit normal. I mean, I did odd stuff, but I wasn't like, you know, some of the stuff was normal, some of the stuff wasn't, I guess. I was a cool kid, though.
And tell them how your experience was when you first had your first child, and what, like, how that experience was.
Um, okay, let me start here. Let me say this first before I say that. I overdeveloped early. So when I was 10 and 11, I probably looked like I was 17 and 18. Had parts that I didn't quite understand and didn't quite know how to dress for. And so, and I was outside quite a lot, just running up and down the street like a normal kid, but I didn't look like my body didn't look like it. I was like over 5 feet tall before I was even 11. So, of course, I got looks from people I probably shouldn't have. So we lived on this, we moved in this block. I grew up moving around a lot. My mother moved a lot. Not quite sure why it was a lot going on all the time, but she got her own spiritual journey, and I'm sure that was all to do with it. We just was along for the ride. But we moved in this neighborhood. My older brother was like outside a lot. He was in the streets. And my two younger brothers, I watched them a lot. So my mom worked and I stayed home with them. And I was like the responsible adult for a long time. And then I started stepping outside and just sitting on the porch and just, and people started to notice, men started to notice me. I'm very blunt. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. Some of the stuff I'm about to say is going to sound a bit rough and a bit harsh, but that's my life. And, to God be the glory. So some of my brother's friends used to frequent my house a lot. My mom worked overnight. So a lot of the time she was either not home or asleep. I guess they noticed that I was unattended a lot. Older grown men, neighbors, and they started to notice that I was unattended a lot. And just started to be my friend. And me at 12, 13, I'm thinking, oh, they're just trying to be my friend. Until a neighbor who was a friend of my oldest brother, who frequented my house on a regular basis, kind of coerced me to have sex with him. And I got pregnant the first time I ever had sex. And I didn't tell nobody, and I couldn't tell nobody because I was 14. Well, I was 13 at the time. I turned 14 while I was pregnant. And my mom found out I was pregnant because my legs stopped working because I was 13 and the pregnancy was too much pressure for my pelvic area to handle. So my legs, I couldn't walk. My dad had to take me to the hospital, and they told him once they, of course, did the X-ray, and well, they couldn't do the X-ray because they did a pregnancy test, and they basically told him they couldn't tell him any information because from that point I was that HIPAA laws don't allow them to tell him that I'm pregnant. I have to tell him now. And I didn't say a word. He didn't say a word, and it was the longest cab ride home. I never forget that day. Neither parent, my mother or father, didn't speak to me for 4 days. I didn't eat for 4 days. I didn't come out my room. I only to use the bathroom for 4 days. And I didn't even know how far along pregnant I was at that time. I just, from that pregnancy test by my urine, they knew that I was pregnant. So about a week or so later, I was prompted to go to the clinic to find out I was 7.5, almost 8 months pregnant. And now we're frantically trying to figure out, no, I was about 7 months pregnant because she came early. She came like 2 weeks later after that. She was a premature child. I had her early. She was 3 pounds and some change. She was like this big in my hand, and I just was overwhelmed with responsibility immediately. And I did what I had to. I went up that hospital. I had her early. It was a blizzard. She was born in the blizzard of 2003, and I walked from Druid Park Drive to Maryland General every day to go see that baby for 6 weeks straight. I walked it right after I delivered a baby and walked every day to that hospital to see that baby because they said, I remember the day I delivered her, one of the nurses said, premature babies need to feel love and need to feel skin to skin contact or they'll die. And that stuck with me. And I was just like, I can't leave this baby up here to die because she was just so frail. She wasn't maintaining her own body heat. She had a lot of complications going on, so they kept her. She had jaundice and all of this, mainly because she was born premature, and I delivered my child with gonorrhea and chlamydia because I did not know that this grown man gave me 2 STDs. And so at 14, I delivered a baby, and when I went back for my 6 week checkup, they informed me that I had pelvic inflammatory disease and then had to be hospitalized myself because the antibiotics that they was giving me, my body was rejecting. I was throwing them back up or whatever the case. So I had to be hospitalized myself, and they actually sent me to a children's hospital because I wasn't old enough to be treated as an adult. But my injuries were adult injuries, so they didn't quite know what to do at a children's hospital for a child with pelvic inflammatory disease because she had an STD for so long. And so I stayed there for a couple of weeks, and my mom kept my daughter. My mom and my older brother, they kind of rotated. When I came home from the hospital, I felt like a big detachment from my child because I wasn't there all the time, and it felt like she didn't like me. She only liked my mother. And that started like a cycle of me just keep leaving the house because I just was trying to do what was best, what I thought was best for the child because I thought she didn't need me if she had my mother. My mother raised me. In my mind at 14, it just made sense to leave my child with somebody safe because I, in my mind, wasn't safe.
Right.
And so yeah, that was my little humble beginnings. And
And tell them the experience, like from the time Molly, because they said she was like a miracle baby. How?
okay,
Yeah.
so she, I say was born premature. She had a lot of complications as a newborn. She had a lot of breathing problems, but she had RSV, she had asthma, she had bronchitis. She was always in the hospital for like a respiratory illness because she was born so early. Wasn't able to like build like an immunity to the elements. I guess she just was sick from everything. So my first 3 years of trying to be a mother, I was in the hospital basically with her the first few years, and all that time she never talked. She never spoke a word actually until she was 4. And when she was a baby, they said a doctor looked me dead in the face and said she's not going to make it. to two because of all the breathing problems she was having, and because I was such a young mother, and I think she just looked at the situation and just kind of, I think she thought she was doing the right thing by bracing me for what she thought she knew was to come, but what she didn't know was that my mother was a prayer warrior, and she was not having it, not having it. So I remember nights my mother used to come and lay put oil on her head and pray over her, because many a nights the hospital would send us home because they didn't know what else to do because she was so small. A lot of the medications didn't work for her, and I don't know. I tried to breastfeed. I did the best I could. I don't know. I tried to do all I could. They kept saying that she wasn't going to make it because of all of these problems that she was having. She wasn't talking. They said she was going to develop slow. So they said autism. They said the list goes on and on about all the stuff they diagnosed her with, because I thought I was doing the right thing. I was taking her to all the doctors that they was telling me to take her to. Oh, take her to this specialist and take her to the speech. She was in speech therapy and all this. She was just staring at them people, and I thought I thought I messed up. Like I broke her. Like I didn't do right by my child because I didn't. I thought that what was going on with her was my fault because I was too young for a baby, and so I'm internally dealing with that and still trying to overly care for this child who and I don't have no clue what I'm doing. And honestly, my mother didn't know what to do either because none of her children were ever sick. We were all healthy kids, so she was kind of clueless in that area as well. So it was just like we were both frantically running around trying to save this baby. And one day she woke up and started talking, and from that day, I knew, like, it woke something up in me that, like, you can't tell me what she can't do, because they told me she wasn't going to talk, and they told me that she was going to develop slow, and I was going to have to put her in special education classes and all this medication. And I never put her on a lick of medication for any mental health issues. The only thing I did was put her in speech therapy, and she stayed in speech therapy over to like the fifth grade because I think her SH's and her W's was R's or something like that. Simple, regular stuff. But that girl graduated with honors. She never failed a class. She actually had straight A's throughout her. She's 23 now, but she excelled past everything they said she wouldn't do. That lady said she wasn't gonna make it till two. She 23. That lady said she was gonna be slow. She not only was not slow, but she was overly smart. Like, she defied all the odds.
And the next thing I wanted to say is, so how many kids do you have again?
3.
Three. And how how can I put this? As far as Molly, right? So I know Molly was the miracle child, and you took care of the other two kids. And how did that, like, how did God, what do you think God was showing you through each of those kids? Like, I know because they all were kind of raised, they all
In a
turned out
different,
so
yeah.
differently. So, like, what do you think God, like, what did you get from that, like, from each of your kids?
That's
Or
a very good question, actually. um, I think I had each child at a different time in my life. So when I had Molly, I was so desperate for love because I was shown. I was desperate for like my own love, like love that didn't require something. Um, and I think as I want to pause to say this, as parents, sometimes we don't understand the reward system don't always benefit every child. Some children don't need something for something. They actually just want a hug or just want love. They don't need to do something or don't want to feel obligated to do something. And it's innocently done, but it has a bigger effect on some kids than others. Anyway, sidebar back. So I think I had them at all different times of my life. And so when I had my oldest daughter, I was young. I was desperate for that kind of love. And that girl, it didn't matter what I did or didn't do. And I was terrible when I first started. I didn't know what to do with that child. I didn't hardly know how to feed her. I didn't know how to change her. I sucked as a mother. She loved me anyway. All she wanted, once she could talk, I couldn't leave that house without taking that baby. She wanted me to, and I was trying to run the streets. You hear me? I was not trying to have no baby. Once my mother got her, I'm gone. I'm gone. No, I want to go. Now I'm thinking I could be all these places with this baby, and I can't. And it showed me how to be responsible, and and that she's looking at me because she started to imitate things that she was seeing me do and be around, and I was just like, oh yeah, I gotta change up everything because I can't had that be the influence on her. I'm responsible for her. And then when I had my second child, I was in a happy, loving relationship, and that was my only love child, my only child that I had out of a state of love. We was both in love. We were both happy. I don't understand why she's so mean, but she was born in a place of love, you guys. And me and her dad are still tight friends to this day. And I think in that time, I had to learn how to be complacent and patient because I was so flighty and just all over the place. And I needed to learn how to sit at home, cook a meal, get a kid a bath, things like be a real mother. Like I was, here I give you this amount of money and just take her there. But when I had my second child, now I had two girls looking at me. I had to build my image a little more responsible and respectable because I couldn't have them viewing me in their light because I was thugging. And I did not want. I knew why I was thugging it was wrong, and I didn't want the same outcomes for them. And then when I had my son, I wanted that boy so bad. Y'all couldn't tell me. Nobody could tell me. I want my son. I want my son. I'm sick of looking at these little girls. I don't want to see pick nothing else. Give me my son. And that boy just showed me unconditional love like no other. Like, and it's not like the way a son look at their mother. It's the first time you really fall in love with a male. For me, I never love. I don't love these niggas. I ain't love them niggas like that. Like I thought I did until I looked at that boy in his eyes. I I couldn't feel love no deeper, and I still can't. I still don't. I don't know nothing else but that love. Look at I'm crying already. Just talk about Micah, like, and that's what God needed me to see, real genuine love. And it softened me up so much. I was so tough with them girls, tough in my life, but when I had that boy, it just made me melt. Like, oh, I got a boy. It's just he just loved me so much. So yeah, I think that's
Now, the next segment I wanted to touch on is so you're a cancer survivor, and I want you to tell them your testimony on how, first of all, when did you first know that you had cancer, and how did God bring you through it and things like that.
okay. So how I first knew I had I knew something was off because, okay, first, I want to describe the setting of my life at the time. I was going to church, but I wasn't in church. I was, I knew who God was, but I did not have my own, I was not maintaining my own personal relationship with God at the time. I was, I was active in church. I'm not negating that I was not there every Sunday. I was there, but I was not taking my own time out outside of being there to really have a personal relationship with God. I was living with a man I knew I had no business living with. I knew from the beginning I had no business living with the man. And I was just in a lifestyle I knew I would have to correct at some point. So fast forward, the guy that I was dealing with was a cheater. This is going to get graphic, you guys. It's going to get graphic. Please don't judge me. Please. The guy I was dealing with was a cheater. A dirty dog nigga. I'm talking about was getting women pregnant every left and right. So I frequented the clinic because I was so paranoid that he was going to give me something based off of you heard my previous story about how the first man I ever had sex with gave me the biggest STDs you could ever get in life. So now I've been overly paranoid my whole my whole life. So one day I had sex with him and it was painful and that was not my norm. And so I decided I was just not never having sex again. I was just like it was that painful. I was just like I'm never doing it again. It's over. I'm over it. And some months later, I kept feeling, mind you, during the time I kept getting overly tired. My body was just out of whack. I just had so many. I'm thinking because I had just had a baby. My son was just born, so he was like maybe 6 to 8 months. So I'm like, oh, maybe I'm just it's the hormones or something. I don't know what was going on, but I felt this immense tiredness all the time. Like my body was overly depleted, and I didn't even do nothing. So I was like, I'm gonna make an appointment. I'm gonna make an appointment. And then one day, my curiosity, I stuck my hand. I stuck my hand, and I could feel my cervix standing up, and I knew that was not normal. And I could feel literally bumps on my cervix standing up. Like I just, and I told you I was getting graphic, but that's literally how I knew to go to the hospital because I was not supposed to be feeling it. Go to the doctor, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna do a cone biopsy because the raised bumps is a concern. This could be cancerous cells, and all of these might be could be's, blah 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 blah." And I never was concerned about cancer the whole time, y'all. I thought this boy gave me something. Like that's all I kept. I was so worried about that. I never knew cancer would be the thing. And the doctor said something about my a prolapsed cervix. Like my cervix had the walls fell. It fell through. My cervix fell because the cancer. I guess the cancer was weakening the walls of my cervix and just dropped it. I don't know what caused that to happen, but had that not happened, I wouldn't even have went. So I guess that was necessary. Goes to the doctor. They do this cone biopsy, which was like they literally clip a piece of tissue off the cervix and go test it for cancer. Test come back. They say I had cancer, but they say it's like stage 1. It's so low that it's treatable. But they want me to get radiation. I decline. Then they say they want me to get chemotherapy, which I declined because I felt like if it's at stage 1, it's this early, y'all can do something else. Why do y'all go straight to kids? So I'm going back and forth with them to the point where these people don't straighten my glasses up for this. These people said that I didn't care about my quality of life. It was free. Take me to court and take my kids saying that I did not care about living because I refused to get chemo. Like, stop letting these doctors tell y'all what to do. You're not, how you going to, you talking about somebody pissed off? Y'all already just told me I got cancer and you mean to tell me you trying to force my hand on something I'm refusing? I'm telling you no and you telling me there's no other option. That gets up, walk out of there, get a second opinion. They say the same thing. I actually got 3 or 4 opinions. This happened over a course of a year. For a whole year, I didn't say a word to anybody about them diagnosing me with cancer. Not even my mother, not the man I was still laying up with, nothing. I said nothing to nobody because I don't know, but didn't want to accept it. And I was raised Christian, and I knew when you start to claim something, it begins to take form. And I knew I didn't never want to actually acknowledge it, so I never said it for the whole year. I never even said not a word to nobody. It's crazy that I was able to do that, but
Did
God
you
gave me
ever
strength.
have you ever you never at one point considered chemo at that time?
Never,
Like,
not
oh
once,
wow.
not once. I declined from the beginning. From the beginning. Then they convinced me this trial radiation therapy where you just take a pill and blah blah blah. And and I was like, I tried. Well, let me see or whatever the case and blah blah blah. And I went to the trial and the lady took the pill. It was another lady. It was a few people there. The lady immediately had a seizure as soon as she took the pill. I walked out of there and I said, "See, this is why I don't fuck with y'all. I mean, I'm so okay. This is why I don't mess with y'all, and that's why I had to go." So that made me even stronger on the no. right? And so I actually had a doctor, and I'm not gonna mention this doctor, but it was a doctor that had been my doctor for a long time, and it was a male doctor, a black male doctor. He said, "I'm gonna tell you this because I know you. And just tell you they gonna try to make you get chemo because of your insurance. I have Medicaid, state insurance. I can't afford no insurance. I'm broke. So because of that, they gonna try to make you get chemo. That's how they get paid the most. Blah blah blah. Woody woo. But I gotta. I'm gonna try to figure out a way. My next appointment, I come back. He said, Andrew, this is after a few. They did a cone biopsy. Then they did this other scrape thing where they try to scrape the cells because it's level 1. It's not penetrating through the wall. They do all these scrape or whatever. Whatever. That didn't work. Neither one of those didn't work. Nothing didn't was working or whatever the case. And of course, they're saying, "Oh, now it's spreading because you're not getting the chemo, and it's been now all this time, and blah blah blah." Blah. So I goes, and something told me to go back to my original OBGYN, which who wasn't a cancer doctor, nothing of the sort. He was just my original OBGYN. He delivered a few of my kids. So I went and asked him his opinion. And this man, I will never forget him. He changed the diagnosis on my paper so that I can get a hysterectomy.
Wow.
And so that they would cover it because they don't want to cover the hysterectomy unless you try chemo first. Because they want to make sure you have exhausted all options before they just take your womb out or whatever. But at this point, I had 3 children. I got cervical cancer. Take it out. I don't need anything else. You can take it. And so he said, I'll do your hysterectomy. I'll do the total hysterectomy. And he performed my hysterectomy under a different
That
diagnosis.
was good.
It was nobody but
Yeah, that
God.
was good.
So it was nobody but God. And that's why I be saying, like, always stand firm on what you believe, because I knew I was not supposed to get no chemo. And it's just something in me said, it's going to kill you. It's going to kill you. And I just never wanted to accept death from cancer. I fought too hard in life to just die from something like that. So in my mind, the whole time, I was just like, if I'm to die, it's going to be on my own will, not because y'all sped it up, not because you gave me anything extra because to get help. It won't be for y'all to say I died because of that or for this or for that. It will be on God's will on my own time. You feel what I'm saying? It's not going to be because whatever y'all gave me. I'm not allowing it. It's just, I didn't want that. So I refused to take anything from them. And I said, if I leave this earth from cancer, that was God's will, and let it be. And that's how I heard it.
And so, and you had, and how many times? So I know you was healed from it, and um, like tell them about that, like the part where God came through for you
Okay,
on that.
so he said he was going to do the surgery. Came about time for me to get the surgery done. My mom is at the hospital with me, and I had a close friend. His name was Bucko. Rest in peace, Bucko. Love you, bro. He was very encouraging at the time, and just very he just sturdy on, you don't gotta get no chemo, I'm with you, and sometimes you just need somebody in your corner to make you feel secure in your decision. And he's just like, you know what you're doing, you smart, you know what's up with your body. And when I was in the hospital, he made sure I ate. He would bring me food all the time because cancer take your appetite. So I lost a lot of weight I went from 240 pounds to like 100 and like 15, 20. I was skinny. That's probably the smallest I ever been in my life. And everybody just knew I was going to wither away and die. And I didn't believe it. But my mom sat in the hospital room with me, and they come day for the surgery, and they do the surgery. And a couple of days I'm in the hospital, and I'm supposed to leave. And a nurse walks in there, and she goes to go check the drain that's there, and she pulls it and rips the stitches out. The drain is stitched to the wound that they just created. She pulls it, rips the stitches, and now I'm rushed back up to emergency surgery before I can even leave the hospital.
Mm.
And then they fix that. They send me home, and a few days later, I'm back in the hospital because my stomach is bloated to here. I can't intake no food. Um, I my so I was rushed back into the hospital, and they said that it was a blockage because my bowels had stopped working from being under anesthesia 3 different times in 1 week. I had 3 procedures back to back in 1 week, and they were major procedures. So I was under anesthesia for like 2 and 3 hours at a time, and I guess from that it's stopped my bowels from working, and they was trying to make sure that I didn't have a puncture or anything like that because I was showing signs of sepsis because I was out of it. I was turning color. My mother was in there praying up a storm. My bishop came up, first lady came up. They up there, they just walking through the room. Everybody praying and praying and praying because this is when it's starting to look grim. And that was about the time I actually only got scared. All this time I had so much confidence in God that I knew He was going to deliver me. I don't think I ever said this out loud. I knew the whole time that God was going to deliver me. And I said, when you do, I'm going to really get a relationship with you. I'm going to really get in church. I'm going to really do what you asking me to do. Because I, all the way up until this point, knew that God had a calling on my life. And I knew I had gifts that I was not tapping into because I don't like responsibility for people. That's just my personal thing. I don't like accountability and responsibility. I want to be low key in the background and I'll do it, but I don't want my name attached that I said I do it. Just say you did it. It's fine. Don't put my name on it. I'm one of those type of people. Anyway, mom is praying, but in that moment was when I got scared because the man was coming in there saying like that they were going to have to open me up again. And I was just like, yo, the statistics that they read off to me about how the survival rate of people going under anesthesia and surviving, and you mean to tell me I'm fighting cancer, my bowels are not working. I've done had surgery 3 separate times in less than 7 days, and y'all already do it again, and you think I'm gonna survive again? At this point, it's starting to like That's when I got scared. I was just like, oh, I might, I might not make it. So now I'm shaking in my boots. I'm praying with people. And see, sometimes God really gotta break you all the way, all the way, all the way down to your knees. Like the diagnosis wasn't bad enough. The surgery wasn't bad enough. It literally took for me to get that scared. Like I didn't think I was gonna make it. For me to go to him personally with these, because I always had confidence that my mom gonna pray. The leader's gonna pray. I'm covered. But that was time for me to transition and cover myself. And it was time for me to activate my own anointing and my own faith over my life. And that's when I started praying. I started praying in that room. My mother called a prayer line, and it was just me, her, and another lady. I can't remember the lady on that phone. And mind you, I'm still in the hospital, and the people are about to come up and take me down to surgery because emergency surgery because they saying I'm septic and my bowels are not working, and if they don't basically open me up and fix whatever the problem is, whatever in my bowels is leaking into my bloodstream and it's going to kill me. So they trying to hurry up and get this done. So we trying to get the most prayer we can get done. So they say, all right, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do one last scan of your bowels and your anatomy of everything on your inside to make sure we know where we operating in. Do y'all know when I went in there, that man said that was the cleanest colon he ever seen, that there was nothing in my bowels. He said this can't be the same patient that had a blockage an hour ago. This is not the same patient. He held the x-rays up. I was looking at him. One is full, one is not. So yeah, they will be back upstairs. Like, yeah, it's nothing to perform surgery on because there's no blockage. Mind you, I never got out the bed, so I did not use the bathroom. I did not. I That was the miracle. That was the miracle. He had to shake me to my core and scare me to and still deliver me. He still performed the miracle on top of the miracle. Like I already just the cancer was not God is that blew my mind. The cancer was nothing for me to do. I got rid of that. He got rid of that quick.
Definitely.
But that still ain't humble you. I got you, I'll humble you. And so that's what it was. It broke me to my core. And when I left the hospital that day, it's nothing you could tell me about God that God don't exist and that He not real. It's nothing you could tell me that He don't got a call on my life and that He didn't save my life for a reason because I was there. And I know I was supposed to. I know I could have died. I could have died a few times in that instance. The cancer could have killed me. Several times under anesthesia could have killed me. Her pulling that drain could have caused an infection and killed me. Like the list go on and on and on. And I left out of the hospital with all my hair, no complications, fully functioning organs, all my hands and limbs and feet, everything working properly. I actually never looked back. You know how some people go back and they want to ring the bell and do all. I never stepped foot back in them people's presence because that was between me and God. This really ain't had nothing to do with y'all for real. Like y'all was just the middleman, and I thank y'all for being letting God use y'all and being a vessel. But it was just a way for Him to pull me closer to Him, and I never lost my. I pray, or I never lost my relationship from that point. I had to really build one from that day.
And yeah, that was some of that I didn't even know. So I just want to say
Some of
on
this I never
camera,
said ever.
yeah, that was definitely something. But to God be the glory. And I if you have any closing remarks or concluded words or anything you want to say to the audience to, like, motivate them, inspire, or anything.
I just want to say, like, I done had a rough life. I've been through a lot. I had surgery after surgery. These little few testimonies is probably like, some of my major ones or whatever. Now we didn't even touch base on the car accident
We
when I
didn't
hit,
even touch on that.
right?
Dang.
You know what I
We
mean?
gotta put that on the part
What
too.
Rob said, he said I took a car to the face.
Man, you've been through too
I've been
much.
through too much,
Too
yo.
much.
So, and it's just like all the testament to say that, like, if He can bring me, my thugging, my drugging, my didn't want to listen, angry, rage having, cause I ain't. This is what blows me about it blows my mind about the whole thing. I'm terrible. Well, who I could be. I was terrible, and I don't deserve, and I did not deserve. Not one of those times He saved me. And not only did He save me more than once, it's so many times that He saved me that it's just like, at this point, what is it that you what for me? Like, you have to ask the question, like,
Yeah.
it's something you're looking for from me, and I'm obligated to give it to you now at this point. And so I just want to say, when God calling your name, answer. Don't be running like me. Like, don't be running, because He's never gonna let you go. When you called and you chosen and He has a purpose for your life, you're gonna fulfill that purpose as long as you live in this earth. And so you gotta just do what God is asking you to do. And that's it.